What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Travis from Carrion Vael. Thank you so much for your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
It's so awesome to have you here. Your newest album is God Killer, which came out this past June. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this record was in terms of like the songwriting and the recording and all that fun stuff?
Sure. Yeah. It's Trent, the guitar player, and myself, and Chris as the drummer, and Al's our bass player. And me and Trent will get together, and he'll write a song, and then we'll edit it up, and that's the writing process. Really, we bring it to the other guys, and we finish writing. And as far as the concept, the whole concept of the album is kind of like my take on Jack Parsons. If you've ever heard of Jack Parsons,
Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty much the writing process. We finished the album in 2018, and just with everything that was going on, it just took forever to release it.
Okay. Is what we're hearing on this album how these songs were all originally recorded, or did these songs change a lot over a span of time in 2 years?
No, that's the way they were originally recorded, yeah.
Okay. Did you think of the concept of Jack Parsons before you started writing the material, and that maybe helped dictate the direction of the music?
I had read about Jack Parsons probably 5 years ago or so, and his story just interested me because of the just how weird it is. I don't know if you or your listeners are familiar with him, but he was a rocket engineer in the 30s and 40s, and Salima leader, actually, under Aleister Crowley. I believe Aleister Crowley made him the leader of the entire thing in California in 1942. And we've all heard of L. Ron Hubbard. Well, him and L. Ron Hubbard basically went out into the desert and did a bunch of drugs, and they thought that they were summoning the Scarlet Woman from Revelations through something called the Babylon workings. And he married a movie actress named Margie Cameron, who he was convinced was the Scarlet Woman, and then he died under strange circumstances in 1952. And most people, or at least some people, think it was L. Ron Hubbard, who is the starter of Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing just kind of interested me, and I kind of put like my own comic book spin on things. So when you're writing a death metal album, you take some liberties, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And being that, that God Killer is definitely a concept album from what you were telling me. So do you recommend that like a listener, in order to maybe be informed on the subject that you're singing about and everything like that, do you recommend that the listener starts off with Inception and ends with Psalm of Lies, or can a listener maybe approach this album from many different angles?
No, that's actually not the order of everything. Inception is not the first song in the process. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember what the first song of the process is. I'd have to read them. Originally, before all the stuff, I wanted to make videos for each song, and so you could watch them in order. And but no, you don't have to know the story or anything like that to enjoy it, or you don't have to listen to it in order. But it is because it's not exactly 100% about that in my version. The process of the reason why he went to the desert to summon the Scarlet Woman was because he thought that he would then marry the Scarlet Woman, and they would birth a child, and that child would be the Antichrist. And that concept goes all the way back to 1590 with Sir Joseph Bacon. If your people are interested in that, he said in 1590 that the United States would birth the Antichrist and would rule for 1,000 years. But anyway, it's about this, and in my version, the Antichrist just kills everybody. So it's not exactly a true representation of anything.
It is almost kind of like it's loosely based off of this, and you kind of added your own plot twists to it.
Yeah, just because in my head that sounded fun. I don't know.
No, it's really cool when like a band is able to have like a story and a narrative, but is also able to deviate enough from it to the point where I think it's like you're not escaping yourself too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going for there, kind of.
Yeah. Could God Killer, was it also technically like maybe was it also, does it have any relationship to Resurrection of the Doomed as well, or is that kind of like its own concept and its own story and maybe its own representation?
It's definitely its own representation. It doesn't have any kind of storyline to the Resurrection of the Doomed album, but I do enjoy writing in that fashion. The third album, which is actually already done, written, that is, we haven't recorded it yet, but that is also a concept album, or in a sense, I guess.
I mean, I'm kind of like a concept album nerd because, like, you know, being a fan of Fear Factory and Mastodon, I feel like those are good representations, like, of what concept albums are. And like a band like Mastodon, they have like their own, like, they have their historical concepts, but they also root it in their personal life as well. And being that you kind of like alter, you know, the stories and kind of put your own interpretation on it. Do any of these stories that you sing about have any connection to you personally as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Specifically, songs like "Something Soulless" and in the middle of songs, oftentimes I'll deviate to 100% personal experiences, and then I'll tie it back into what's going on. It's almost like watching it all from third person. Yeah, definitely. Just because writing lyrics specifically is so it is so personal.
Yeah, but I'd imagine. Oh, you were saying?
I would say even more so on this. Not to keep talking about I'm just super excited about the third album.
But, don't give too much away. This interview will be uploaded by midnight.
I will not give but the third album is even more personal. So.
Yeah. When it comes to the lyrics, though, like even though there's a personal aspect behind it because it is rooted in certain concepts, I'd imagine there's also a lot of research that's involved as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Just to write God Killer, I ordered about 10 or so books. Anything, and some of these books are fucking impossible to read, to be honest with you. But I read about 10 books and a lot of research on the subject. But I find all that stuff fascinating, like everybody else. It's just weird stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. But to get to the exact lyrics, though, you probably need the music itself, right?
Yeah. So the first thing that we do in the writing process is definitely it all starts with the guitarist Trent Lindbergh. He writes it and he does his pre-production, and then he brings it to me, and I'm able to say, can we change this and this to make it easier on vocals, or maybe I'll have an idea. But typically the songs are pretty much done, and then we take it to Chris, and he puts his spin on it, and Al puts his spin on it. But yeah, definitely I got to have the music to. I won't write a single lyric until I'm listening to music myself.
Yeah, nothing could be more heartbreaking than having the best lyrics ever, but then they're always like one syllable over like every arrangement.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that's happened before.
Yeah, definitely with I guess with melodic death metal, or whatever you want to call us. I think there's a certain prosody that has to go along with how you manipulate your voice, and so I definitely, for myself, I wait until I have music.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the concept, because we talked about like how maybe it could dictate, obviously it dictates the lyrics, but like, do you feel that maybe if like the album was also instrumental, it could also maybe convey that certain narrative as well? Do you feel like maybe the music is also influenced by the concept?
Yeah, potentially. I never. I think potentially. I don't. I hadn't thought about it, to be honest with you, but.
Hmm. And is the music open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe engage the listener into the story of the album?
It's definitely open to interpretation. Just because I take them in some really weird fantasy aspects of it as well. So.
Hmm. Does the idea for creativity sort of like come out of the blue sometimes, or do you almost kind of like need to be in a certain place at a certain time in order for like the creative energy and the ideas to flow?
Hmm. Musically, I think instrumental wise, I think it's about kind of sitting down and doing something every single day, because yes, creativity is going to strike when it at any time, but also when you are trying to do this as professionally as you can, you gotta do it every day. It's and then you'll be surprised with how much good stuff you'll actually come up with, even when you're like, I'm not feeling it. Lyrically, it may strike when you're like a cool line. May strike when you're driving down the road, or at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep. Those are a little bit different, but also I think I force myself to try to write lyrics every day.
Yeah, I've always said that. Like, I hope that I never get a pilot that's an artist because I'm always worried that inspiration is going to strike like as they're approaching the runway or something like that. It seems like inspiration strikes at very inconvenient times.
It often can. Typically, it's when you're at work or something, and it's hard to get away to. But technology helps with that, especially lyrically. You got your phone, go whisper that line into the recorder, and at least you have something to remember.
Okay, yeah. Modern technology definitely helps make it easier, but I say don't create art and drive, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when it comes like really, what's funny is like, do you feel like an album is done when you said everything you had to say in it, or is there like a pinnacle moment to when you feel like that the album is complete?
I sometimes feel completely lost on when an album is good, when an album is done. To be honest with you, like, um, I always want to do more, and you kind of just have to say, okay, this is enough. This is done, because it does take so much to get 5 guys together in a room to actually perfect this kind of music, any kind of metal, really. So if you spent forever worrying about things, you would spend forever worrying about things and not releasing anything.
Yeah, and you sometimes like I've always said that it takes just as much skill to put stuff down as it is when you start it.
Yeah, it's a discipline, kind of.
Yeah, and us metalheads are not very disciplined sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, when it comes to executing this material live, is there maybe a similar energy into your live presence as you do when you are songwriting, or is playing live and songwriting two completely separate arts altogether?
Uh, you know, I don't know. You feed off of the crowd live. A good crowd, fans. It makes all the difference. It's hard. It's practice is not always fun. Writing the writing process is oftentimes not always fun, and being in the studio is definitely not always fun. Playing live shows is almost 100% of the time really fun. So I just we try to be as perfect as we can and as true to the CD live.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different than the writing process. Live is what bands that's what we live for, I think.
Yeah, and like has maybe like this moment of isolation has been, in this moment of uncertainty, maybe been influencing what we could be hearing on the next Carrion Vael album, or you don't want to talk about it too much.
No, it definitely is influencing. You know, in March we had a tour booked in March
With Ayat, right?
Yeah,
I just spoke with them.
And oh yeah, great dudes and awesome band. We had to cancel that, and at the same week, my job said, "Oh, you're going to be working from home," and everything closed down, and there was so much, nobody really knew anything, so everybody just stayed at home. Like, we didn't practice. I didn't see the guys for a long time. Now, luckily, we all have small home recording setups, so Trent was able to write some stuff, send it to me, and I was able to, and that's one of the reasons why the album is done. But it also, lyrically, it just gave me time to finish a lot of books and that I had been wanting to work on for a long time, and that those books are at least part of the concept of the album.
And any specific books that really that got you intrigued, or is that a spoiler alert?
That would definitely be a spoiler, yeah.
Okay.
And it's multiple books, and I will say it's multiple books, multiple characters. So, it is it's a fun concept, though, I think.
I'm excited. I'm very excited, especially because this new album, God Killer, I really feel like just broke a mold. Like, I loved Resurrection of the Doomed. It definitely was a good tip of the iceberg, like a good first taste. But then God Killer, I really feel like broke the mold. So now I almost feel like that for Carrion Vael, like the sky is the limit at this point.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like we're making the best music we've ever made by a long shot, right now.
Yeah, so. I'm stoked. I'm very stoked. And it almost seems like, even though this is probably the worst time for a lot of people, I feel like for a lot of artists, this isolation and this uncertainty is almost kind of like a necessary evil for like self-realization and artistic exploration.
If you can stay disciplined during this time of and work, like we were talking about, you can accomplish a lot, and you can you can also go crazy. So, but yeah, I agree with that. I think you're right.
Yeah, sometimes succumbing to madness is also a necessary evil, but I hope it's a last resort.
Yeah.
And the final question I wanted to ask you is coming from Richmond, Indiana. I've heard that there actually is a decent scene throughout, the whole state of Indiana. And, upon seeing the word Richmond, I thought, oh, cool, another Richmond, Virginia band. But that's not the case. But is there kind of like a scene in the area in which you originated from? Or is the goal for Carrion Vael to kind of play outside your hometown a little bit more?
We play Richmond twice a year, Indiana, that is, and there is a scene here, and specifically in Indiana, Richmond has the best scene in the state of Indiana, and for a town that has 40 or 50,000 people, it's not that big. When we play, there are 250, 300 people that come out, and they want us to bring in, 3 or 4 out-of-town bands, and I'm able to pay those bands really well. And so that I take a lot of pride in helping those guys out. But yeah, it's a small town. There's another signed band in this town that's doing awesome. They're a doom metal band, and Richmond has this rich musical history with Gannett Records, which you probably haven't heard of, but Gannett Records was the first recording studio in America to record black artists, and Louis Armstrong recorded here. There's a whole list of people, and then there's a couple of music producers. Joey Sturgis is from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, I was in a band called Coraline with the bass player Alex, and Joey was in that band, but it was after I left. So some of us played music with him, and it is a long time ago, but we've just seen a lot of good things come out of here. Another huge producer is from here in the country aspect of life, music, that is country music. So there was a ton of musicians here, and if you're going to play Indiana, come through Richmond. Indianapolis has over 1 million people, but Richmond is you're going to have more people at your show.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter how big the town is. What matters is how big the show is.
Yep, exactly. And they love music here. It's pretty awesome. Actually, this is just we had a show at a bar here. It's one of the last shows we played, and the guitar player for Cannibal Corpse showed up, Pat O'Brien, and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is awesome. So, a legend guitar player shows up in our little hometown to watch us play. That was huge for us.
Yeah, that's like a death metal dream.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He was super nice too.
Yeah, like Cannibal Corpse is like one of the most aggressive bands, but they are like the biggest teddy bears ever.
Yeah, I think so. I think you might be right. I did not try to hug him or anything, but
well, what was stopping it? No, I'm kidding.
next time I know.
Exactly. And is there any like other bands from your town or any DIY venues that could be struggling that you'd like want to shout out that people could support?
Well, I mean, the Doom band I was referring to is called Wolf Tooth. I grew up with some of these dudes are awesome. If you're going to be coming through this town and you're a band, E Street Pub, that's where I actually run the sound there when I'm not out on the road or playing shows or something. They love live music and they pay you well. And at the end of the day, the only thing you can ask for is for people to come to your show and you sound good, you make enough money to get to the next one. That's not half bad. So yeah, those two places, that place and Wolf Tooth, check them out. Come through. I'll run your sound.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Travis. I really appreciate it. Everybody, we are here with Travis of Carrion Vael. Be sure to pick up God Killer if you haven't already. New stuff coming very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.